People of the wine, people of the wine, people of the vinyl world. I'm back to do a recent vinyl finds, and this time it's going to be all jazz. I have some pretty cool stuff to show you, at least in my opinion. It's going to be a mixed bag between original pressings and reissues. But as always, cue music. In my opinion, I'm gonna start off with a bang. This is a long time want, and man, I wish I had an original, but beggars can't be choosers, right? So this is Stark Reality, and discovers Hoagie Carmichael's Music Shop 1970. 2 LP set. This is one of the, I shouldn't say like holy grails, but it's one of the main sort of pieces that people of a little bit more free jazz seeks. Gatefold sleeve, and there's the backside there. John Abercrombie playing guitar. Yeah, this is a very sort of quirky record. Not everyone's bag. I love it. I think that it's one of the best jazz records ever recorded. And I don't think that the intention of the recording of this was really to make the best jazz record ever. They mix sort of, it's the music is for a TV show, if I understood it correctly, that they recorded for a child's TV show. But what they sort of ended up doing was a record that blends free jazz, jazz, fusion jazz, rock, funk, everything that sort of came in their backs from the 60s going into the 70s. It's just the perfect sort of mix. I love and adore this record. It's highly recommended. I had another reissue that had, I think that also is a 2 LP set, but the track listing is way off. This is the Record Store Day release from, I think, last year, 2022. And it's cut by and mastered by Bernie Grunman, and released by Now and Again. This is a phenomenal sounding record. It blows my other reissue out of the park. And unfortunately, I don't have an original press to compare it to, but it would be nice to compare it to. I think that I'm sort of betting that this sounds better than the original press, but yeah. Bernie Grunman did a fantastic job on this one. So the hunt continues for an original press, but I have to shell out like 1,000 or 1,500 euro for that one. So this will come in handy until then. This next one is also a reissue of sorts, even if it's never been put out before on vinyl or CD, I think, for that matter. Anyway, I'm, as always, late to the game on these records. I'm always the last one to get them. Often when I get these records, it's because I didn't buy them first because I wasn't that keen on it. And if I got it like now 2 years later or something like that, it's because I got a pretty nice deal on it. Otherwise, I don't think that it would be in the collection. Anyway, this is Thelonious Monk in Palo Alto, or Palo Alto, the Custodian Mix. And I need some help here because I can't find sort of the exact difference between this and the Custodian Mix and the first one that came out, because I think that this was an ordinary release, sort of 2021, and a year later they released this as a Record Store Day release in 4,200 copies, something like that, and called it the Custodian Mix. Obviously it's a different mix, and I've read online that a lot of people likes this better, but I can't really find the information on what's the difference between the two mixes, and so let me know in the comments below. This is an impulse release. This is a gatefold, comes with sort of a booklet or a pamphlet or whatever you want to call it of I guess how they sort of a program for the concert when it was in 1968. You get a reprint of the poster and a booklet of the story and some photos behind it, because this has a pretty nice story to it. It's like this. There were a guy in Palo Alto at a high school, I think, that adored Monk, and who doesn't? And his dream was to sort of set up a concert with Monk in his school. So, and there is, I think, a dedicated podcast on this recording and how it went on and so forth. So listen to that. But I think that's it. After a lot of sort of struggles, he got them there, and someone actually recorded it. They don't know exactly who did the recording. I don't think so, anyway. But it got recorded, and many years later, like 2021, it was released for the first time. The recording quality is not the best. I mean, we don't have to talk about the music. Monk is always great. Like, I've never heard one single second of Thelonious Monk that I didn't enjoy. And this is no exception. But the recording quality is not the best by any means. It sounds like a bootleg. So it's a historical important piece. I'm so glad that it's out there, but I actually wish that Impulse in this case would have put a sticker on to something just warning people that this is not on par with what you can expect of Impulse release. Because if you don't know the story, if you don't just see a Monk record standing there in the shop, you get it home and you put it on, I would be super bummed, and I would never buy an Impulse record if that was the first one that I bought. So with that being said, just great record. So glad to finally have it and add it to the Monk collection. Yeah, continuing on down the rabbit hole of what is reissues of jazz records nowadays. I mean, we are going to get to those releases, but right now I feel like 2023, it's an awesome time to be alive and being a jazz vinyl collector, because we get so many good releases of old recordings, and they sound, often at least, they sound fantastic. So I took a chance on this one. I don't have any Verve by request other than this. I don't think so anyway. And now that I've actually sort of set my mind to, or whatever you want to call it. This is Ahmad Jamal Trio with The Awakening. 1970, I think that this was originally released, and this is an Impulse record. 1970, I don't know if it had the orange and black spine. This doesn't. If that's the case for just this release, or if it was like that on the original release, I don't know. Please let me know if you know. Anyway, so Ahmad Jamal, a piano player, and just I want to talk about the music first. The music is fantastic. This is one of the best piano records I have ever heard in my life. It just flows. He's so damn great at his sort of tool, his instrument. But without ever losing that sort of melodic touch to it. It's distinct, it's very interesting all the way, and I haven't been this floored by a piano player since Stanley Cowell. So highly enjoyable. The music is a 10 out of 10. This was, and Verbal Request has been around since 1998, if I did my research correct. But they really upped their game, it feels like, for the past 2 years maybe. And it's not the case, I don't think so anyway. But in my mind, when I have looked at the records that has been coming out for the last 2 years, it feels like they sort of are flowing with that sort of AAA standard that we are used to now with the new with the Blue Note records and Top Notes. That this would be or should be a sort of a audiophile thing. It had a hype sticker. I don't like shrink wrap, so I take them off and I throw them away. Sue me. And the hype sticker said that it was pressed at Third Man Record, but this didn't say anything about who cut it or where it was mastered. So I guess, I didn't find any information, but I guess that this is a digital master, not an analog master. And it sounds okay. It's not a bad sounding record by any means. It sounds okay, but I think that I have had a little bit of a higher expectations when I bought it. I mean, and also I was super bummed. I mean, here in Sweden this cost 34 euro to buy in store. And for 34 euro you expect to get at least a polylined inner sleeve. And you don't. Just ordinary paper inner sleeve, and the records looked like it was dragged after a bus. Didn't do anything to the sound. It's just bummed. I get bummed out when they cheap out like that, when you buy something for 34 euro. Anyway, great record. Great sounding record. A 10 out of 10 in music. I don't know. That's my opinion. Coffee. Yeah, the next one, a little bit of a story. We like stories. I like stories at least. But the next one is a Japanese jazz record. This is a reissue, don't worry. The original of this goes for 1,000 euro or something like that. Super rare and sought after release by Japanese artists. It's like this. I was Googling another record and I stumbled upon a page, a web shop from a pretty known Swedish store, and I didn't even know that they had a web shop. I don't think that they knew that they had a web shop, to be honest, because this was not updated in years and years. And 95% of all records that was on the shop or on the web was sold out. So, but you know, I'm stupid. So I'm putting down like 2 hours going through every single record, putting everything that I need or want in my cart, and I send in the order, because these records 2, 3 years, 4 years ago, 5 years ago maybe, when they put them on the web shop, the prices on them were insane, because it has skyrocketed in prices in especially Sweden, but in the whole world. So vinyl records now compared to 4 years ago, 5 years ago, is a completely different game, and this had the old prices on it. So I think that this was like 20 euro, something like that new. And I knew that even if I put down the work, they will probably not have them in stock. Why would they? So I get an email back and they said that they had half of it in stock with completely different prices. But I bought it, I paid for it. Surely I should get it for that price. So, I mean, it got sent off and here we are. So pretty cool thing to just stumble over. And they were happy too. I bought some more stuff from their Instagram account, and I mean, so I wasn't just a bastard. Anyway, this is Sasaki Hidieto and Sakine Toshiyuki, 4+1. Stopover, 1974. As I said, the original press of this is super hard to get. And this is the only reissue that has ever been put out of this, and I think this is like 19 or something like that, 2020. So it's been on the page since 2020, 3 years. Gatefold sleeve. Describing the music is, this is a fast-paced hard bop record. Great musicians, definitely. In my opinion, the main man here is the horns, but the drummer is from another world, or from Japan. But I wouldn't say that this is the best jazz record that I have in my collection. I would not pay the 1,000 euro that the original go for, but it's a nice piece to add to the jazz collection, definitely. Okay, 2 records. I'm not going to talk too much about this because I've done individual videos going in depth on both of these, I think. Yeah, I think. So I'm just going to show them before I file them. This is Round About Midnight with Miles Davis on Mo-Fi and Sketches of Spain. And if you have seen the videos, if you haven't, go and check them out. The Miles compared to the UK first press or early press, this sounds 1,000 times better. But this compared to a first US press, The US press, the first press, yeah, just hit it out of the park. This is a great sounding record, but the original press is just... So if you can get a near mint copy of a first US stereo press of this, go for that. Otherwise, the MoFi is great. Okay, next one. This is Charles Mingus, 1956, I think. So a pretty early one in his career. I won't even say the title. I mean, you can read, can't you? I won't. Pithecanthropus erectus. Erectus, I know, because I have some problems with pronouncing that. Yeah. Okay, so moving on. This is Speaker's Corner release, and this is actually the first Speaker's Corner record that I own. And I wasn't that... I can't say that I was very excited when I listened to it. The sound quality is not the best, but maybe it has something to do with the tapes. Maybe it has something to do with the recording 1956. I have nothing to compare this to except digital, and I don't think that the digital sound better in any way. So what I need to do is I need to get me some more Speaker's Corners releases with recordings that I know is great, so I know what Speaker's Corners are all about. When it comes to the music, this is fantastic. It feels like an essential jazz record, really. It's 1956. I wouldn't say it's avant-garde or free in any shape or form that we know of today, but I think that they stretch the term jazz a little bit more than what you were used to in 1956. Mingus is really on fire on this one. He drives his musicians, I mean, like with a whip, without ever sort of losing that sort of Mingus touch that we are used to. I don't know how to put my finger on it, but I feel like Black Saint and the Sinner Lady, you have a gangster 20s sort of big band feel to it. That sort of, that genre, that music, that style and maybe attitude coming out of the speakers, and that's definitely here too. And just give it up to them for reproducing the original label. I mean, yeah, I don't think that Speaker's Corners is a bad reissue label at all. I've heard so much great stuff about it, but maybe this was a bad first experience. Yeah, some Blue Notes. I mean, this channel is mainly about old music and also older pressings, I guess. So when I'm showing these, I'm not showing these like the same day they come out. I need a month or two before I show records, I guess. So I also obviously got myself a copy of Fuchsia Swing Song by Sam Rivers on Blue Note Records. This is the classic series, so you have the first sort of price step on this one. I think it's like 34, 35 euro here in Sweden, or 32 maybe, something like that. They are really getting expensive, these two. I think that I pay I pay the same for a classic records today like that I did for a Tone Poet when the first Tone Poets came out. But killer lineup, killer music, Jackie Bayard, Ron Carter and Anthony Williams, along with Sam Rivers. This is also one of those essential Blue Note records that, I mean, we are so blessed to be able to get these for somewhat affordable prices in this quality. I mean, the sound quality is just to die for, and it's almost like they are keep on getting better and better. I mean, Kevin Gray, who cuts these, I don't know if it's his equipment or just his knowledge or whatever it is, but it's like magic. He can fart on a master and it will sound the best it has ever sounded. And this is no exception. It's the same thing. This is also the classic series. I think this is November's or if it was October month's release. Hank Mobley with Lee Morgan, Donald Byrd, Andrew Hill, Herbie Hancock, John Orr, Butch Warren, and Philly Joe Jones. I think this is from 1963 or 4, and it's called No Room for Squares. I mean, I love this artwork. One of my favorite Blue Note artworks, not only for the framing in this sort of circle here and the use of the font and Hank Mobley there, but also putting this seemingly ugly sticker-like thing up here, because No Room for Squares is the name of the record, and it actually has room for a square on the on the cover artwork, which is a square. So yeah, Hank Mobley, not his best work, but again, Hank Mobley, I mean, one of the absolute best jazz musicians ever. Everything he has done is great, at least great or even better. This is a fantastic record. Lee Morgan plays like he has never played anything before. Andrew Hill and Herbie Hancock, I think that the first recording Herbie Hancock did was in 1961. This is 1963-64, so pretty early one in his career. Let's say he has recorded like 10-15 records before this, and he plays like a motherfucker. And it's almost like I get the feeling, I know when I did research, and it's like 1961 first recording, 1963-64 this one, feels a little bit like he is trying to prove his worth in the session. He plays so damn good. Okay, so, and Andrew Hill, a favorite of mine. Lee Morgan, half of the songs is penned by Mobley, if I'm not mistaken, but the other half are penned by Lee Morgan. And the more I dive into Lee Morgan's sort of writing, even more interesting it gets, because I've never seen Lee Morgan as a songwriter in that, or a composer in that sort of sense. In the first and foremost, he was a trumpet player. Second, a very sort of interesting is maybe the wrong word here, character. So getting to know him as actually a composer is pretty cool. There's still a lot to discover in the world of jazz, I guess. One of the things with sitting here and actually talking about records and the records in my collection is that you expose yourself. You have no idea who is watching, and you are afraid that the things you say aren't true, or you are wrong and you have the wrong opinions and stuff like that. I'm not one of those who worries too much about it, so I'm going to leave this in. I'm sorry. I was totally wrong. Not totally wrong, but I mixed up the stories between No Room for Squares with Herbie Hancock and Feeling the Spirit with Grant Green, which is the last Blue Note that I'm going to show you today. And it's the latest sort of tone poet that I got. Herbie Hancock is on this one too. This is 1963. And it was for this record that I did the research and discovered that in 1961 he did his first recording, and in 1963 he's playing like his life depends on it. His playing on this is fantastic. Now, this one is from 1964, so just a year later, and maybe the same sort of opinion on his playing can be applied on that record too, but it was for this one. I'm keeping this in. I'm not editing this out at all. So yeah, Feeling the Spirit with Grant Green, great guitarist, as we all know. Herbie Hancock, Butch Warren, Billy Higgins, and Garwin Massou. I don't know how to pronounce that. Great record. One that I have been sort of dodging, I guess, a little bit. Had really no idea that it existed, because I haven't really dug deep into Grant Green's catalog, and I noticed that it's a very sort of hasn't been reissued that many times for being a tone poet or a Blue Note record, but also very rare and hard to find if you want an original. So I guess that all the fans of Grant Green feel like this is a very welcome reissue. The next one, I need to revisit this, because it's been such a long time since I played it. And I have a little bit of a discussion also that I want you to think of and maybe write in the comments also. But yeah, this is the Tales of the Algonquin by John Sermon and John Warren. And this is a British jazz record with the who's who of this time period in British jazz. So you have Kenny Wheeler, Harry Beckett, Malcolm Griffiths, Mike Osborne, Stan Schultzman, Alan Skidmore, John Sermon, John Warren, John Taylor, Bear Phillips, Stu Martin, and Alan Jackson. I mean, it's definitely the who's who. This is a rare ass record if you want the original, because it was released on Deeran, and Deeran records, not all of them, but many of them back in the day were is very pricey nowadays. Comes with a booklet and some commercial on the backside for all the releases, because this series is called British Jazz Explosion, and that is true. It is, and I only have one other of the releases, and that is, and I've shown that before, that is the Kenny Wheeler's The Story of Don Quixote, or Windmill Tilter, which is a great record. I wasn't that impressed with the sound quality, to be honest, because we're very spoiled nowadays when it comes to the sound quality of the Blue Note records and stuff like that, and these are not cheap records. So when you put out like 40-50 euro for a single LP record, nowadays I feel like we can sort of expect 1, 2, 3 steps higher of quality. And the quality is great on the jacket, on the pressing. It's flat, it's dead quiet and stuff like that, but it's not that dynamic and detailed like maybe I would hope for. Anyway, so to the discussion. I got this maybe 4 months ago. I opened it up maybe 2 months ago. So 2 months after I got it. And I noticed that there is a big scratch on the first track. So what I do is I immediately, because it skips, so I immediately contact the shop that I bought it from, and they say that I have no warranty left on it. I can't come 2 months later and ask for a refund or to send it back, because I had to do that, I think, 2 weeks after I get it. So this was way after that sort of time period was over. So my question is, like, I buy a lot of records. I mean, buying a record when I get, the urge, or I get a great deal, it's not uncommon that it will stand here in my shelf for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months maybe. And I get it. Every store can't sort of just wait 6 months for everyone to just open it. There has to be a little bit of a wiggle room, but I know that what's her name? Melinda. She talked about this, that we as heavy collectors of this, we don't always open it as soon as we get home. So what's your take on it? It's just, I don't say that, I'm not saying that they are wrong. I just say that it's not uncommon. So maybe you should open every single record as soon as you get home to see that it at least is okay. And then you put it in the shelf. I don't know. Okay, so last but definitely not least, I want to get this right. Yeah, 1966. This is a long time want. And I don't actually know why I haven't gotten it before, because it's not super rare. It exists in so many pressings from 1966 and 67. This is Sound by Roscoe Mitchell Sextet. Roscoe Mitchell from the Art Ensemble of Chicago. I think that you could say that this is one of the essential jazz records, like one of the pillars in jazz as we know it today. When you go back and look at the records that has been put out during the years, especially when it comes to free jazz and avant-garde jazz, this is on the throne. I mean, my God, what a record. Released on Delmark. And I think that this is the first or the second, no, the first UK press of this one. I got it for a great price. They are not super expensive. I've never seen them in a store or something like that. I never got the chance to buy it online, and I saw it in this fair that I went to this summer, and yeah, I bought it there. So this is great. It's called Sound because Roscoe Mitchell, if I understood correctly, wanted everyone to just make sound, make whatever was in their head right then and there. So if anyone had the, and this is quoted, if anyone had the urge to stomp their feet on the ground, you stomped your feet on the ground, and that was what came on the record. So, I mean, in exactly the sense of the word, this is a free jazz record, because they all were free to improvise and do whatever they wanted to. But the result is also fantastic. So highly recommended if you are venturing into free jazz. I guess that is a pretty good one to get into. Maybe not first, but definitely somewhere along the line. And that's everything for me today. So thank you so much for watching. Please leave me comments down below, and I'll talk to you in my next video. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.